Inconsistencies and missed opportunities, the hallmark of a team still trying to figure it out. Chelsea play host to Crystal Palace and come away with a 1-1 draw. Let's get into it.
And blue is the colour. Essien! Drogba! Lampard! That could be the championship!
Greetings! Welcome back to Couch Critic with me, Dennis P, for what is your Chelsea match review, but more specifically, a tactical synopsis of Chelsea's performance against Crystal Palace at Stamford Bridge. 1-1 draw. But before we get into any of that, you know what to do. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification button to keep up with the latest and the newest. We're trying to grow this channel and we can only do that with your help. Without further ado, let's get into the match review. I don't want to keep sounding like a broken record, but let's be honest, we've seen this from Chelsea before, other incarnations of this team before, and once again, Chelsea just create a plethora of opportunities and just do not take them and then get sucker punched by Eze with a fantastic strike to claim the equalizer. But you know, the game should have been easily 2-3-0 long before Eze's opportunity to equalize came about, and Chelsea are just not taking their opportunities. Lots of good build-up play. Lots of good opportunities on the break, 2v1 situations that are missed and whatnot. And, we end up losing 2 points on a day where we should have taken all 3. But in this match review, we're going to be focusing on a couple things that I thought led to Chelsea's demise, namely the midfield play. I'm really going to be focusing on Enzo Fernandez in this video. We're also going to be looking at Chelsea's shape change. Obviously, they played with a single pivot with Caicedo as solo 6. And we're also going to be looking at some of the spaces and the lack of recognition that Chelsea had when we had opportunities to go 2v1 against Crystal Palace's defense. We're going to be looking at the recognition and how poor we were at recognizing situations where we could really hurt them. Now, it was very evident to me from the opening kickoff that Crystal Palace's game plan was to stifle Chelsea, frustrate them by taking away the middle passing lanes, the half spaces and whatnot, and man-marking the likes of Cole Palmer, not allowing him to get on the ball. And I feel like Enzo Maresca anticipated this and changed Chelsea's shape. We did not play with a double pivot for much of the game. We basically played with a single pivot with Caicedo dropping into the first line of defense in between the likes of Wesley Fofana and Colwell, and was always there to receive the ball and look for the next passing angle. Now, clearly for me, the space was available out wide where Wesley Fofana was occupying basically a right back position there. It was where Crystal Palace were allowing us to get on the ball and allowing us to, advance the ball from there. But what they were not going to let us do is get the ball infield to the likes of Cole Palmer, Enzo Fernandez, or Gusto for that matter. So a lot of Chelsea's first half attacking moves were started on that right flank with Fofana, who I thought had a fantastic game. But the frustrating part of this game was that Chelsea were unable to get the players that they wanted to get on the ball in spaces where they can get it. Very few opportunities in that first and second half did we find, the passageways in the middle areas of the pitch where Chelsea want to be most effective. Now, many people will be asking why Cole Palmer was being asked to drop so deep to get on the ball when Adam Wharton was marking him so closely. I think that the more natural player you want to drop deep there is Enzo Fernandez, who, in the first wave build-up phase, you want him in a deeper role anyways. But for whatever reason, Maresca decided to give that assignment to Cole Palmer and have him flanked by the likes of Malo Gusto and Enzo. And in this particular position, there was very few opportunities where, Cole Palmer was able to get on the ball in the first wave, turn, and then break on Crystal Palace. And in the one situation Chelsea get in, there wasn't very many opportunities where this came up, but when we did, Chelsea were very good. Like Cole Palmer was very good at being deceptive in where his runs were going and breaking the lines from there. But ultimately we struggled to get him on the ball in that area, and then as a result we were just recycling possession on the periphery and not really looking to get into the teeth of the defense, where the likes of Jackson and Enzo Fernandez were basically camped out pretty much the entire game. And, that was where most of the frustration was. It's not that Chelsea played poorly. I thought that we had a lot of good interplay and we found some good angles to exploit and whatnot. We just didn't recognize the spaces a lot of the time. Now, many of you will know I'm a very, 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 very patient guy. I'm a guy that will wait until the very last day before I make an assessment on players and, style of play and whatnot. I want to see more, evidence before I can formulate an opinion one way or the other. But, in light of what's happened during the summer with Argentina and whatnot and everything that's happening, to the buildup of this season and getting into it, I'm starting to lose patience with the likes of Enzo Fernandez and trying to figure out exactly what his role is in this setup. I mean, anyone can recognize that his best attribute is his passing acumen, his ability to pick passes and whatnot. And when that's not coming off, you have a real hole in that midfield. You're not seeing any benefit whatsoever because he doesn't really provide you with any real defensive stability. He's not very rugged in there. He's not really aggressive in the tackle. He's not very good in pressing. All of these things are the things that you need in the midfield, especially when you're playing with a midfield 2 and a number 10 in Cole Palmer. You need that midfielder to have some sort of defensive stability in there. And for the life of me, I just don't think Enzo Fernandez provides enough of that to be in consistently missing passes and not, understanding where the spaces are to exploit. If you're going to be a liability defensively and in transition, then when you're on the ball, you have to be able to find spaces to exploit. And here's a perfect example of what I'm talking about here. Now it's clear to me we finally were able to coax Crystal Palace out of their shape when Richards goes chasing after Gusto in a press. And simultaneously, what we have here is Adam Wharton falls asleep for a hot second and Cole Palmer's unable to slip in behind. Now, this is what Chelsea were looking for the entire match, an opportunity to pull them out of their shape and get one of our more gifted passers on the ball in Enzo Fernandez. And the option that he takes here is just the wrong one. Clearly, we have a 2v1 situation with both Jackson and Cole Palmer breaking into space here, and he decides to loft it over the top and overhits the pass. If he keeps it on the ground, we have a 2v1 situation and we have Crystal Palace in a wealth of problem there. And these situations cannot happen when you have a player like Enzo Fernandez on the ball. So to keep it simple and plain, if Enzo Fernandez is going to be on the pitch for Chelsea, providing zero defensive awareness, zero defensive structure, zero resistance, zero aggressiveness in defensive situations, then he has to, and keep in mind doing all this while wearing the captain's armband, then he has to be delivering those bullets for our attackers to exploit spaces and whatnot. And in this game in particular, he was just horrific. I mean, I think he gave away the ball or was dispossessed 19 times. And when you're dispossessed 19 times in the midfield, that is a problem. That is a real problem, because clearly he doesn't have the defensive acumen to make up for, the giveaways. He's not slowing them down in the transition. He's definitely not putting a stop or intercepting the ball either. So he's basically become a pylon. So he has to be very careful when he's delivering the ball and making sure that it's pinpoint accurate. And this is the quality that he has. We're just not seeing it in any way, shape, or form. So again, I'm gonna give him a few more games to see if he can get up to speed with this, but truly, the problems that Chelsea have in the midfield right now are stemming from the fact that we have a guy in the midfield who is a defensive liability, and then when we give him the ball to do things offensively, he's not doing enough to warrant his position in the side. So something to watch for, but this is just my analysis on it. I think we need more from Enzo Fernandez if we're going to be effective, both offensively, defensively, and in transition as well. Now, the other aspects of the game where I thought that Chelsea were really poor with identifying was obviously his passes into space, recognizing where the spaces were to exploit. The third man runs, the third man releases into space, not recognizing when that was on. And of course, when we pulled their defense out of shape, recognizing where the space was to exploit. And here's a perfect example of what I mean. Now, clearly here, Chelsea have finally manipulated the ball and got Enzo into space, and Cucurella squares it to him, and the next pass is to Cole Palmer, and he just switches it out to Madueke, letting the defense off. And clearly what could be done here is Palmer receives the ball, surveys the pitch, Neto times his run, bends it, and gets in behind where the space where Nathaniel Klein is vacated. This is what Enzo Maresco specifically wants. He wants to pull these defenders out of position and allow for our fast, pacey wingers to get in behind. So this is a perfect opportunity right here for Chelsea to attack the space in behind vacated by Nathaniel Klein. And, we're just not recognizing these spaces. We're not recognizing when we're in positions where we can really, put this team to the sword. I can produce so many opportunities from this game alone where Chelsea were successful in finally enticing that very, very, very stifling Crystal Palace defense out of their shape in order to get somebody in behind, where Chelsea either mistimed the pass, missed the pass, or missed the opportunity to play it into space. And, this system is not going to work until these guys get on that wavelength, until we're all moving in concert with each other and understanding when to exploit the spaces. When you see a defender come out of position, it's when you start to run into position expecting to get the ball. If we're not doing that in concert with each other, then we're just not going to be able to get, the opportunities that Enzo Maresca's system creates. We can't just rely specifically on, recycling possession on the flanks and looking for openings, probing for openings when they're not there. We need to create opportunities by identifying situations when the defense is pulled out of shape and we have the opportunity to exploit it. And again, it's just very, very young. Obviously, we're still trying to figure this out, but at the same time, you want your intelligent players, the likes of Cole Palmer, Enzo Fernandez, and whatnot, to be able to at least recognize when these situations are on and make the right decisions. And it's just not happening enough right now. It's just not happening. Now, the one player I can credit with having a consistently good game from minute 1 to minute 90, and who was my man of the match for Chelsea, was Wesley Fofana. I thought that Wesley Fofana, first of all, understood the spaces, understood his importance of the role, being out on that right flank there, and the spaces that he needed to exploit, and did a good job of getting forward, picking passes, getting guys into space, understanding when guys are open in space, the likes of Cole Palmer getting an opportunity to shoot here, probably should have scored. And of course, releasing the likes of Madueke into space, probably should have scored as well. It is here that I think that Wesley Fofana was most effective, like on the ball, specifically getting Chelsea into areas where they can really, really hurt the likes of Crystal Palace. But not only that, I thought defensively he was sound. He never once got beat. Every time he was challenged, he was either winning his duels or he was winning his aerial duels. This is what you want. I'm finally starting to feel like the Wesley Fofana we paid upwards of £80 million for is starting to come back to what he was like when he was at Leicester. And if this continues, obviously the partnership with him and Colwell starts to grow, mature and whatnot, and he continues to be that aggressive, sort of like ball-winning center back, the guy that is like more commanding, the guy that is the ball carrier and whatnot, thrusting into the final third, picking passes and whatnot, being really alert and getting back. If he can be this guy for us, I think that we'll be okay defensively. I'm not going to say that it's exactly what I want, because I still think that we need more leadership back there, but of the defenders that we have right now, there's no question in my mind that the duo that I want to see more often than not is Wesley Fofana and, Levi Colwell. Yes, there will be growing pains. There's no doubt about it. A young defensive partnership like this will have its problems and whatnot, but if they continue to play together and mature together, learn from each other and whatnot, I think that this is a center back pairing that is easily number 1 and number 2 in the club right now. I don't think that there's any dispute there. Their ability to recover and make intercepting tackles, the ability to play that high line, play those incisive passes, those line breaking passes, and also be defensively switched on, which is something that a lot of our defenders struggle with right now. This is by far the best pairing that we have. And, at Wesley Fofana, it's just a return to his form, finding his football again. And if he continues on this path, I think that we're going to be okay defensively, to be honest. But I think I'm going to wrap it up there. International break is upon us, and this is going to be difficult, getting through this period, knowing that Chelsea could have had 6 points on the board at this point and come away with 4. It was just, again, a game where we just did not take our chances. We created enough of them. Jackson, late going in that game, should have buried it, didn't. Another opportunity where he could have laid it off to Felix and then moved into a better position, didn't. Another opportunity where he could have played it into Neto and then got into a better position, a goal scoring position, didn't. We just need the recognition, and we also need to be more clinical. I mean, there was an opportunity from a header or from Madueke, I think it was, where he missed, or where he gets in behind Enzo Fernandez, a lovely ball over the top. And, obviously Henderson had a great game as well too, but, these are opportunities that we need to be taking. We need to be taking. And If we're not going to, we're going to have another long season. It's going to feel like another season where Chelsea are, just inconsistently performing and not providing these sort of like performances that allow us to challenge the top, the top of the table. We need to start taking these opportunities that are presented to us and show that killer instinct. We got the international break and then we get back and it is Bournemouth. So another opportunity to get 3 points. Let's hope we take them this time. But until then, keep the blue flag flying high and up the Chelsea. Peace.